Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going deep on a case, a true crime case that's, well, it's baffling and chilling.
Yeah.
We're talking about the murder of Beverly McGowan,
Yeah.
a 34-year-old from Florida,
Hmm.
found murdered in 1990. And what's really intriguing about this case is the prime suspect, Elaine Parent,
Oh,
who was a
yes.
master manipulator, assumed a lot of different identities, and evaded capture for years.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how this case went from like a missing persons report to like an international manhunt,
Right.
uncovering just this massive web of deceit that spanned continents.
Yeah.
A puzzle with many, many missing pieces.
Right.
But using police reports, witness testimonies, we even got some forensic analysis of handwriting. We're going to try to put it all together.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning.
Mhm.
July 1990, Beverly's siblings, Steve and Jane, received some really unusual letters from her.
Right?
It wasn't your typical, hey, I'm on vacation type of postcard.
No, no. It was more like a farewell, like a permanent goodbye.
Oh, well.
Hinting at a permanent change,
Yeah.
doing what's right and becoming a better person. And it just left her family bewildered, especially because, Beverly had just bought a condo. She's working 2 jobs. Seems happy.
Right, so totally out of character.
Yeah.
So then phone calls go unanswered, and Jane files a missing persons report. But it gets even weirder when Steve and Jane go to Beverly's condo.
Yeah, the condo was super confusing. There's signs of everyday life, clothes, dishes.
Yeah.
But then key things are missing. Her car, her answering machine, even her cats are gone.
What?
Passport, her birth certificate, her address book, gone.
Okay.
And then, to add to this whole mystery,
Yeah.
they find a telegram addressed to the bank saying that Beverly wanted to foreclose on her condo and they could just get rid of her belongings.
Wow. Okay, so it's like someone's deliberately trying to make it look like she walked away from her life.
Exactly.
And this is all before they discovered the really horrific truth. Just a few days later, a man named Jesse Moorhead made a gruesome discovery
Yeah.
by an irrigation canal about 100 miles north of Beverly's home.
He found the mutilated remains of a woman,
Oh my gosh.
and the body was missing hands and a head, which made, identification really hard.
Yeah.
But there was this one detail that the killer overlooked, a small rose tattoo on the victim's ankle.
Okay.
And that, along with the location, and she had a rabbit tattoo that was missing, and they believed that that would have been where the mutilation was, led investigators to think that the victim was Beverly.
So really trying to erase her identity completely.
Totally.
Yeah. Medical examiners determined that a chainsaw was likely used to remove the hands and head. This wasn't just a murder. It was just a totally calculated act of dehumanization.
Right.
So the investigation begins. Do they have any leads early on?
Well, they look into a few people, a former roommate, a painter friend who had an alibi, and even an escaped convict named Lori Bennick,
Oh.
because there was this credit card purchase.
Okay.
And it turned out to be a false lead. And so these dead ends just, left investigators with nothing really, struggling to find a connection to Beverly's life.
Right. Then the name Alice emerges. Tell me about her.
So Alice was this potential roommate from London.
Okay.
And she's the one that Beverly had told her family and friends about. She was well-dressed. She worked for IBM. She even did numerology readings for Beverly. Seemed almost too good to be true. And as we'll find out, she was.
So was Alice just trying to scam Beverly?
Well, she used numerology to gain Beverly's trust
Okay.
and get, vital information, her birthday, her social security number, passport, driver's license,
Oh, wow.
everything you need to steal someone's identity.
It's scary. Makes you think twice about sharing personal information with anyone, even people you think you can trust.
For sure.
So was Alice involved in Beverly's murder?
We'll get to that. But what's important here is that Alice predicted that Beverly would meet her future husband at 40, come into great wealth, but she also warned her about a deceptive man and woman in Beverly's life.
Oh.
Which, looking back is really creepy.
Yeah. It does sound like Alice might have been more than just a numerologist.
Right.
So what happened next in the investigation?
Well, investigators caught a break when they discovered activity on Beverly's credit card.
Oh, what?
There's a withdrawal from her account and then a purchase at a Ventura Mall in Miami.
Okay.
A witness describes the woman who used the card as a striking blonde. Initially leads investigators back to the escaped convict, Lori Bennick.
Right.
But like the other leads, it goes nowhere.
So back to square one.
Not quite. The trail leads them to a travel agency where a man dressed as a woman, calling himself Sam.
Oh, wow.
used Beverly's credit card to buy a plane ticket to London. He spoke with a thick English accent wearing a wig.
Sounds like a spy movie.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the clock was ticking at this point. They discovered Beverly's car abandoned at a motel.
Okay.
And they started combing through flight manifests, desperately trying to intercept Sam before he disappeared overseas.
Did they make it in time?
They didn't. Sam landed at Heathrow, goes to the Avis counter, and tries to use Beverly's driver's license and credit card. And when the card is declined, poof, he vanishes. One step ahead.
So it sounds like he knew they were on to him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is where Detective John Cornish enters the picture from the London Metropolitan Police.
Okay.
And they tried to set up all these traps, staking out the Avis office in Heathrow, but Sam was always a step ahead. They eventually find the hire car abandoned, wiped clean of any evidence. Frustrating game of cat and mouse across continents.
So what happened next? Did the trail go cold?
It did for 5 long years, but the case wasn't forgotten. And when it was picked back up, it took investigators down a path that would expose a web of deceit far larger than they could have imagined. Yeah, 5 years, that's a long time for a case to go cold. But sometimes, all it takes is a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah, that's what happened with Beverly's case.
Yeah.
What brought it back to life.
So Detective Rena Crowning-Shield and investigator Nora Pfeiffer, they took another look at the case.
Okay.
Specifically, they focused on the passenger manifest from that flight to London. It was a long shot.
Yeah.
But they just meticulously examined every name, just hoping for something, a clue, anything.
Really determined to uncover something the original investigators had missed.
Right.
Did their efforts pay off?
They did. They eventually landed on a name, Sylvia Ann Hodkinson.
Okay.
And this is where the case takes this crazy turn because Sylvia Ann Hodkinson wasn't who she claimed to be.
Okay.
Her passport was issued under, well, suspicious circumstances, and her real whereabouts were unknown. It became clear that her identity had been stolen.
So we have Alice, the numerologist, and now we have Sylvia, a potential victim of identity theft.
Right.
Could there be a connection?
That's what investigators started to think.
Yeah.
And this suspicion was, further solidified by a seemingly unrelated incident involving a stolen license plate and a woman claiming to be Charlotte Ray Cowan.
Oh, wait, is this the incident where the woman who appeared in court wasn't the same person that the police arrested?
Yeah, that's the one.
That was crazy.
Yeah, Charlotte had quite the story.
Yeah.
She described meeting a woman named Anne Tremont who, like Alice, used numerology to gain her trust and then stole her birth certificate.
Okay, so we have 2 stolen identities.
Yep.
Both connected to women who use numerology.
Uh-huh.
The plot thickens. But how did investigators finally connect these incidents to Elaine Parent?
Fingerprints. Remember, Charlotte was arrested.
Right.
And those fingerprints matched Elaine Parent, who had a history of theft and fraud in Florida. Suddenly, investigators had a name and a face to connect to this web of deceit.
This is starting to paint a very disturbing picture of Elaine Parent. She's like a chameleon, slipping in and out of these identities, leaving a trail of victims behind her.
Yeah.
But did they have any evidence linking her directly to Beverly?
So remember those farewell letters that Beverly wrote?
Yeah.
Turns out they held a hidden clue, literally.
Okay.
Investigators use this technique called ESDA testing.
Okay.
Stands for Electrostatic Detection Apparatus.
What is that?
Imagine you're writing on a notepad. The pressure from your pen leaves like indentations on the pages beneath it.
Right.
ESDA testing uses static electricity to reveal those indentations, even if the top sheet is blank.
That's incredible, like uncovering a secret message?
Exactly.
Wow.
And when they used it on Beverly's notepad, they found hidden messages written in Elaine Parent's handwriting.
Oh, okay.
And these messages were filled with rage and threats addressed to a woman in London that Parent had been in a relationship with.
London again. This case keeps circling back.
Yeah, I know, right? So Detective Cornish tracks this woman down.
Okay.
And she becomes known as Witness X to protect her identity. And Witness X reveals that she had met Parent in Miami, and Parent later followed her to London. Their relationship was tumultuous, filled with, violent outbursts, manipulation, and even death threats from Parent.
It's chilling to think that someone capable of such rage and manipulation was connected to Beverly.
Yeah.
Did Witness X provide any other insights into Parent's character?
She did. She described her as erratic, unpredictable, capable of, switching from charming to furious in an instant. And there's even a detail that really, it mirrors Beverly's case. Parent actually kidnapped witness X's dogs
Oh, wow.
and tried to extort a ransom from her.
That's horrifying. It really seems like Parent had a pattern of inserting herself into people's lives,
Yeah.
gaining their trust, and then exploiting them for her own gain.
Yeah, that's a key insight. But remember, all of this is happening around the same time Beverly disappeared. So while they're building a case against Parent, they still need that concrete evidence linking her to Beverly's murder.
Right. They have a motive and a connection, but not that undeniable proof.
Exactly.
Did anything else surface that could really solidify their case?
There was one more piece of the puzzle, one connection that would lead them to Elaine Parent's doorstep, but not in the way they expected.
This just keeps getting more and more intriguing. I can't wait to hear what happened next. We left off with investigators uncovering Elaine Parent's, like, whole history of manipulation, the identity theft, the violence, but they still need that crucial piece of evidence to definitively link her to Beverly's murder. What happened next?
Well, this is where it takes a kind of unexpected turn. In 1998, America's Most Wanted, they air a segment on Parent, and that brings the case to, like, national attention.
Okay.
Sightings were reported all over the world, but it was a later episode in 2002 that really proved to be important.
So the public is now aware of this case, and people are actively looking for Elaine Parent.
Yeah, and it was a tip from a viewer that led investigators to Panama City, Florida.
Okay.
Multiple callers reported seeing Parent living there, under an assumed name, of course.
Of course. It seems like she just couldn't escape her past, even with all the disguises and aliases.
Yeah, it really does. So, the police go to the address, right? Provided by the tipsters, but Parent, like always, had created another layer of deception.
Oh, wow.
She answers the door, introduces herself as Darlene Thompson, even has a military ID to back it up.
It's just incredible how she could so convincingly slip into these different personas. Did the police believe her?
They almost did. The officers were about to leave, thought it was a false alarm.
Okay.
But then one of them, he had a military background, noticed that a crucial stamp was missing from the ID, which made it a fake.
Wow. Talk about attention to detail. That officer's observation could have saved lives.
Absolutely. So they decided to take Darlene in for questioning. But as she went to get changed, a gunshot rings out. Elaine Parent, the Chameleon killer, had taken her own life rather than face justice.
What a dramatic and tragic end to a case that had spanned over a decade. But even with Parent gone, the investigation wasn't over, was it?
No, it wasn't. They searched Parent's house, and they discovered a treasure trove of evidence, really revealed the depths of her deception.
Wow.
Wigs, disguises, fake passports.
Oh, my God.
It was like stepping into the mind of a master manipulator.
Yeah.
They even found an FBI wanted poster that she had created for herself under a different name, claiming she had murdered a government official.
That's both fascinating and disturbing. It's like she was living out some kind of dark fantasy.
Right.
Did they find anything that directly linked her to Beverly's murder?
Sadly, they didn't. No murder weapon was ever found, no DNA evidence connecting Parent to the crime scene. And, remember, this was 1990,
Right.
before DNA technology was as advanced as it is today.
So even though Parent fit the profile perfectly, the stolen identity, the manipulation, the violent tendencies, without that concrete evidence, there's still a shadow of doubt.
Yeah, there is. But the circumstantial evidence it was overwhelming.
Right.
The hidden messages on Beverly's notepad, her relationship with Witness X, the stolen identities, the whole elaborate escape to London, it all paints a pretty clear picture of Parent's involvement.
It's got to be incredibly frustrating for Beverly's family to know who likely killed her, but not have that definitive proof.
It is, and for Beverly's brother, Steve, the lack of closure is, well, it's made worse by guilt. He had canceled her credit cards before her body was found, thinking it would force her to contact them.
He was just trying to protect his sister. It's heartbreaking that his actions, while well-intentioned, might have hindered the investigation.
It really is, and it's a reminder of, just the complex emotions and unintended consequences that these types of cases often involve. The Elaine Parent case also raises some really important questions about, just the nature of identity in a world where information is so readily available.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder what drives someone to live a life of such deception, constantly on the run, assuming new identities, just leaving this trail of destruction behind. Was she running from something, or was she running towards something?
Well, some experts believe that Parent may have been a psychopath, driven by this, need for power and control.
Okay.
while others suggest she was just deeply insecure, seeking validation through all these false identities. Ultimately, the true motivations behind her actions remain a mystery.
It's a chilling reminder that even the most seemingly ordinary people can harbor dark secrets. And for Beverly's family and friends, the pain of her losses, well, it's got to be made worse by the unanswered questions and the lack of definitive justice.
Yeah, it's definitely a case that's going to stay with you. And this case is a testament to the enduring impact of these types of crimes, not just on the victims, but also on their loved ones and the investigators who dedicate themselves to finding the truth. It really serves as this, like, stark reminder of the importance of protecting our personal information and just being cautious about who we trust.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating and thought-provoking deep dive into a case that, even after all these years, continues to raise questions about identity, deception, and just the human capacity for good and evil.
It has. And while Elaine Parent may have escaped earthly justice, her story serves as this cautionary tale and a reminder that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, has a way of eventually surfacing.